Yes, I am here in my office.
Oh, that's it. That's why. All right. So, how are you doing? Talk to me about your day.
Well, it, well, now uh, I'm stay here in my job. My
Okay.
my day was fine. Uh, it's um, it's it's the end of the how do you say in English semester.
The semester.
Okay, it is the end of the semester, and all is very quiet.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's it. I know whenever the students are not there, everything is in order, everything is quiet, everything is lighter because whenever they are in, Jesus Christ, it's a mess. But anyway, all right. Okay, Polo, look at this. Today we are going to talk about habits. Could you help me reading the image that you can see in the screen?
Yes, uh, people do not decide their futures; they decide their habits, and their habits decide their futures.
What do you think about it?
Ah, I don't know. Um I think um, is um, it has a truth because when the person has a habit, uh, they have less problems. I think they uh, can can they can resolve their problems, and they can uh, find find out a solution very uh, very things in their lives in their life.
Hey, that's great. Yes, yes, I totally agree with you. Okay, so let's go to the next slide. All right, so look at this. Here we have some frequency adverbs. As far as we can see, here we have always, usually, sometimes, often, never, once, twice, three times, several times, every day, every Sunday, and let me see, every year. Do you know all of those expressions?
Um, uh, yes, I think
Yeah. All right. And do you know the meaning of all of them?
yes. Um, some words sometimes I have problems because I don't remember the uh, how do you say significado.
Meaning.
I I forget the meaning.
Oh, that's it. For example, what about always? Do you remember what it means?
Yes, it's easy. I remember.
Excellent. What about usually?
Usually, sometimes, sometimes, yes. though in this case, I don't have problems with this word.
Excellent. All right. So, do you remember how to use the frequency adverbs?
Yes.
Do you remember that we have a specific place in the structure for each, well, for the frequency adverbs?
Um, Not very well.
Well, we are going to use the frequency adverbs before the verb. For
Okay.
example, I could say, I always brush my teeth. I sometimes dye my hair. I usually go shopping. All right, so we are not going to say usually I go shopping or I go usually shopping.
Okay.
Yeah, so it must be before the verb. But whenever we are talking about verb to be, then it is going to change. We are going to use first of all verb to be and later on the frequency adverb. For example, I am always happy. She is usually in Mexico.
Okay.
All right.
Yes.
Excellent. Okay, so let's go to the next image. Here we have exercise E. Choose the correct sentence. Could you help me reading, please?
Yes. All the options.
Yes, please, the options.
Okay. One. A. Jim never is at work. B. Jim is at work never. C. Never is Jim at work.
All right, so what do you think about this? Which one is the correct sentence?
Um, uh, the letter D.
Okay, Jim is never at work. Excellent. Pretty good. Okay, so let's go to number two. Could you read them, please?
Okay. Option option E. We have usually lunch at 12 o'clock. We usually have lunch at 12 o'clock. We have lunch at usually 12 o'clock. CD, we have lunch at 12 usually o'clock.
Okay, so what's the correct one?
Um, mm,
Polo?
yes, yes, yes.
Ah,
um, um, the letter C.
letter C. We have lunch at usually 12 o'clock. Could be, but you know what? Remember that the
Mhm.
frequency adverb must be before the verb.
Okay. The structure for a time, it's we have lunch, but the second mm, part, I have problems. Mm,
That's it. Well, here the verb is have. We usually have lunch at 12 o'clock. That could be the correct one.
okay, the letter A,
B.
B usually. Okay, we usually have.
We usually have lunch. Excellent. Pretty good. Okay, so let's go with another. Let's see another one and let's decide. Number 3.
Okay. Um, letter A, she travels always by train. Letter B, always she travels by train. C, she always travels by train. D, she travels by always train.
What do you think about it?
Uh, the letter the, the letter A, she travels always by train.
Well, remember that the frequency adverb must be before the verb.
Before, okay, the letter C.
Excellent. Letter C, she always travels by train. The only one time whenever we are going to use the frequency adverb after the verb is whenever the verb is to be.
To be, yes, okay.
All right. Okay, so what about number 4?
Number 4. Okay, option A, they go out sometimes in the evening. Letter B, they sometimes go out in the evening. C, they go out in sometimes the evening. D, they go sometimes out in the evening. Okay, the letter B, they sometimes
B.
in the evening.
Excellent. Pretty good. Hey, that was very good, Polo. Okay, so let's go with the next. Here we are. Ta-da! Polo, tell me, how often do you ride a bicycle?
Ride a bicycle.
How often?
Uh, how often? um, in, in this moment, never.
You could say, I never ride a bicycle.
Okay, I never ride the bike.
Why, Polo?
Why? Because I don't have a bicycle.
Oh, that's a bigger problem.
Yes, well, in this case, I don't have time. You know,
That's it.
my
Yep.
job, my family, the English course.
Oh, yes. So, yes, yes, I understand it. Well, sometimes we, no, it is not correct. How is it correct, Polo? Sometimes we, yeah, sometimes we do things that are not good for health, or we sometimes do things that are not good for health. Which one is the correct?
I don't know. I don't understand. You
Oh,
can.
yeah, I am going to write it in the chat so
Okay.
that you can consider it both. No,
Uh-huh.
we sometimes do things that are not good for health. Okay, that's letter A. The other one, sometimes we do things that are not good for health. Okay, that's number 2. What do you think is the correct one?
Okay, the correct. Um, well, the 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 first one.
Excellent. That's it. Yes, you're right. First of all, the frequency adverb, later on the verb. We sometimes do things that are not good for health.
Yes.
Okay, pretty good, Polo. Okay, let me tell you what I do for protecting my body. I sometimes I sometimes do exercise with my granddaughters but I always careful about the time, um, because I am usually busy. Okay, so can you see that we can use the frequency adverbs uh, in many different ways? For example, here I sometimes do
Mhm.
exercise with my granddaughters, but I am always careful about the time because I am usually busy.
Okay.
Okay, let's try to do some examples like those. Could you help me writing them in the chat?
Okay.
Okay, ready?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay, pretty good. You said I usually try to walk every morning when I go to my job. Excellent, Polo, pretty good.
Thank you.
And tell me, I have a question.
Yes.
How often do you eat vegetables?
Vegetables. Okay. I usually eat vegetables when I have lunch at sometimes at three at 3 o'clock. Usually
Okay, so you could say I usually eat vegetables at dinner.
at dinner, I in negative it's I don't usually eat
Uh-huh.
I don't usually eat vegetables.
Hey,
I always eat uh, some fruits or yogurt and or uh, yellow. Uh, it's correct. Yellow uh, for gelatina in Spanish.
well, American people used to say yellow,
Uh-huh.
but uh, British people used to say jelly. So
Jelly.
it is correct. Both are correct. Yellow or jelly or gelatin.
Okay.
Okay, so why don't you do some questions to me? Okay, so why don't you do some questions to me about my habits also, so that you can practice question formation?
Okay. A ver. How often do you drink water?
Excellent, pretty good question. And you know what? The structure was correct. Well, I always drink water 3 times a day, at morning, at noon, and before sleeping.
Okay.
Now my turn. Tell me, do you often eat broccoli or some green vegetables?
Um, well, I I sometimes eat green vegetables, not always, because sometimes when I go to it's correct when I go to eat or when I have lunch.
When I have lunch.
Okay. Sometimes when I have lunch, the the place where I eat every day don't have green vegetables.
Oh, I see. All right. So now you do a question to me.
Okay. Mm, okay. How often do you read a foreign newspaper?
Well, I usually read foreign newspapers because I have to look for some material, some new readers for my students. So, you know what? I visit a page that is called the kiosk.net, and it has newspapers for of every other part in the world, from India, Australia, England, Spain, and it's so nice. It's very interesting.
Do you speak Hindi?
No, but you know that in India, the other official language is English. So for me, it is easy.
Okay, British English.
Yeah, the British English. But But yes, it is sometimes a little difficult because as they use not only English words but also some Hindi words,
Uh-huh.
it is difficult the mixture that they do
Okay.
in some other countries. It is
Uh-huh.
difficult how they mix their own words with English. For example, Jamaica, my goodness, it is extremely difficult, but it's a very good training for me.
Okay.
Okay, so my turn. Polo, tell me, how often do you watch television?
How often? But uh, I don't. I don't usually uh, watch TV, but um when I when when I arrive to my house, I usually watch TV. Uh, I watch news. Sometimes I watch a movie, uh, and I usually watch videos on YouTube.
Great. Okay, pretty good. Now you do the question to me.
Okay. How often do you mm, do you go on food uh, to on food? Uh, how often do you go to work on food?
Very frequently, as my first job, it is in a elementary school, and
Okay.
it is really near to my house.
Uh,
So it is kind of like 15 minutes walking. So for me, it is more comfortable and it's easier to go walking than going by taxi or by car because there's a lot of traffic over there. So it is more recommendable to go by foot.
Okay.
Okay, so my turn. Polo,
Hmm.
how often do you take water to drink from home?
From home. Oh, take drink water in my house.
Yeah, you may take a bottle of water from home
Uh-huh.
to drink at the office or to drink in your commute.
Okay. Um, I never take water in a bottle. I always drink water um, after go out. And in my job, for example, I have um, um, a
Uh-huh.
and
Cups.
cups, and in I try to drink water in all all day. Sometimes I drink coffee or only water.
Hey, that's good. Okay, and so now your turn. Now you do the question.
Okay. How often do you? Okay, I hope the question is correct. How often do you speak English in a day?
Well, I very frequently, well, no, I almost always use English in a day. I don't remember a day that I don't speak English in a moment.
Okay.
That's, you know what? I have a situation.
Uh-huh.
Well, for practicing, I entered to a social net,
Mm-hmm.
and so I met a person, and now he says that he's my boyfriend. I don't think so because I don't know the guy,
Mm-hmm.
but I all of the time, every day I talk to him, and we have a call and we have a chat every day, and he's from England.
Ah, okay.
So every day, it not only for working but also for echando novio, I, I use English.
Okay.
All right. So my question.
Yes.
All right. So tell me, mm, how often do you practice a sport?
Sports. Mm, well, for example, on vacations, I sometimes uh, go for a walk or sometimes go to how do you say well uh, on vacation I'm going to run. It's
Mm,
correct.
I used to go.
Used to go.
Used to go to run.
Used to go to run. Okay. But in when I work in regular days, regular it's correct.
Beg your pardon?
for example, it's a word I um, I listen one time,
Once.
once time.
Once. Not once time, it's once.
Okay, once, una vez. Okay,
Huh.
but I don't understand the meaning.
Ah, once means una vez.
Ah, okay. Yes, uh, I don't always um, practice exercise. And I don't have time,
Yeah.
money.
But you know what? It is very frequent because we are living in a hurry all of the time, and we are busy all of the time. And for us, uh, most of the times, work is number one.
Uh-huh.
So it's very common.
Yes, but
Uh-huh. Yep.
I I want to try in the next vacation. Uh, Practice every day exercise. I hope.
Yeah, it would be good. You know what? Not only for being fit, but also for health. I guess that it is good.
Yes, stress. Yes, for health.
That's it, to lessen stress. Hey, that's very good. And okay, now your turn. Do a question.
Okay. Um, um, okay. How often do you bake a cake?
Oh, yeah. You know what? Time ago, I used to bake cakes,
Uh-huh.
but now I never do it. Now I don't do it. First of all, because I don't have an oven. Next, because I rarely have time to cook. I have to confess that I never cook because as I am living with my daughter and her family,
Uh-huh.
and she cleans everything in the house, I just wash my clothes
Uh-huh.
and work. That's the only one thing I do. And sometimes I wash the dishes. But the only one thing that I do here is to work.
Okay.
And whenever they say, "Mommy, come to take dinner," I stand up and go. And I come back to work. And
Uh-huh.
later on, they say, "Mommy, come to have supper." That's the only one thing I do. And since my granddaughters complained, they say, "Hey, Granny, you are always working. What happens with you?" That's
Yes.
my big problem. I have to confess, I declare
Uh-huh.
that I am a workaholic.
Workaholic.
Yeah, that's my
Wow.
problem. That's my addiction. All right. Well, Polo, let's go to the next image.
Okay.
Ta-da! All right. So look at this. Here we have some activities. For example, swimming, sewing, crafting, quilting, films, photos, instruments, tennis, writing. What else?
Movies, cooking, films, and movies. Yeah, is the are similar?
Yeah, that's kind of like the same. But some people used to say that movies is that you are going to watch a movie, maybe on television, maybe go to the movies. And films is that you are going to record videos or kind of like those.
Okay. Crafting, like manualidades.
Aha, that's it.
Okay. Quilting.
Quilting, where is it? Ah, yeah, quilting is kind of a technique. Here we are going to see what is quilting. Here, can you see? Quilting on the go.
Yes.
And there's a woman who is sewing some pieces
Uh-huh.
of clothes so that she's going to make a carpet maybe, or she's going to make a bedspread. Uh, it's to join pieces of something to do
Mm-hmm.
another thing.
Okay.
Okay, so here we have the ikebana. Can you see the ikebana?
No.
Here in the newspaper they say ikebana, the art of arranging flowers.
Okay.
That's a Japanese technique.
Like the small tree.
It could be like what's the name of those trees?
I don't know.
Oh my goodness, mm, bonsai.
Bonsai. Yes.
Yeah, that's it. Or to arrange flowers whenever you make a bow of flowers, but you mix the flowers with some plants so that they can look very attractive.
Mm-hmm.
That's ikebana.
Okay.
We can also have the paper cars. Haven't you done any paper cars, like mache paper cars?
I only um I only do piñata.
Hey, but that's nice. Yeah, that's it. Paper cars are kind of like the piñatas.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's beautiful. That's wonderful. I remember that time ago. I used to do my piñatas also with my children.
Uh-huh.
Nowadays, we don't do it because they have already grown up. But anyway, it was beautiful.
Yes. When I uh, was in the elementary school, uh, my partners we do a piñata
Hey,
on
and yes,
on holidays in
on
December.
December for Christmas parties. Oh, and it used to be so beautiful, so nice.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so let's go to the next part. Have you done genealogy as a hobby?
Genealogy.
Yeah. What is genealogy? What does
The
genealogy mean?
I the like it's uh, ¿cómo le llaman? Un árbol genealógico, algo así.
That's it. Yes, genealogy is a hobby that some people do as an investigation about what is the origin of their family, and what
Okay.
about their relatives, their progenitors, what's the lineage, what's the
The
descendant.
descendant, the ancient,
Aha. Yeah, it can also be. So, haven't you done anything like this anytime?
mm, I don't understand the
Yeah.
question.
Well, haven't you ever done anything like this? Haven't you any? any time investigated who are
No,
your ancestors?
no.
Ah, that's extremely interesting. Well, I once did it,
Uh-huh,
and it was nice.
uh-huh.
I had a very nice time, a big time, because you know what? I investigated about my last name. My last name is Argote,
Ah, okay. Mm-hmm,
and so it is not very usual.
mm-hmm.
It is not very usual to see any person with that last name. So I was making the research, and I
Uh-huh.
could see that my last name comes from Lebanon.
Lebanon.
Lebanon. Yeah, originally it came from there to Spain during the Cruzadas.
Uh-huh,
And later on, they went to a Basque country, to the
uh-huh,
Basque region in Spain.
uh-huh.
And with the colonization, it came to Mexico and it came to Guanajuato.
Oh,
So from Guanajuato, there began to be some people over there, but there were just a little. And they used to say that in my in my last name there was a spell. A witch sent a spell
uh-huh,
because she was in love with my great grandfather.
uh-huh,
And so she said that if he didn't divorce and marry her, she
uh-huh,
would spell her last name because he was very proud of his last name.
uh-huh.
And he said that he needed a boy, a son, so that the last name could remain. But it happened that he had a daughter with that woman, and he said, "Nope, I need a boy, a son." And so he didn't get marry her.
Uh-huh.
He didn't marry her, and she got angry and she said, "Your uh, your last name is going to be under a spell, and it won't have lots of people. Your last name is going to die." And you know what?
Uh-huh.
If you look for Argote in the phone book,
Uh-huh.
you are going to find a few people, only 7 families.
A few.
And in my family, for example, my father had 2 girls and 2 boys. The girls, me and my sister, the
Uh-huh.
boys, my brothers. But one of my brothers
Uh-huh.
said, "No, I don't want to have babies," and he operated himself.
Uh,
And the other one had only one son. So from all of the grandsons of my father,
uh-huh.
he only has one boy who is going to continue with the last name. The other ones are girls.
Okay.
So it is kind of like funny, but that's what I found, and that's what I could um, check that it was true.
Yes. In my case, I have 2 daughters. My last name is Monroy. My sister only well mm, she has two babies,
Uh-huh.
one girl and one boy. But the boy is uh, um he doesn't like the girls.
So well, you know what? Sometimes we say he's not going to have babies, but now they can have the adoption.
Yes, but I think the this generation they don't think about children,
Mm.
no, My father is sometimes he's uh, sad
Mm-hmm.
because only my 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 sister and me only have a one boy.
Yeah, that's it. Well,
They
sometimes,
he thinks uh, her last name is Lost.
well, it may be, but well, as I told you before, who knows? Maybe he opts for an adoption. Or, you know what? Nowadays, some people used to change the order of the last names, and it is legal.
Yes,
Instead of saying, for example, my children are Garcia Argote, they can change their names to Argote Garcia,
yes.
and it is legal.
Mm-hmm. See?
So it may be now. Why not?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, Polo, thank you very much for your attendance. Do you have any question or any comment?
No, only I try to bueno, he estado cubrir todas las unidades hasta ahora, pero más o menos todavía me faltan unas tres más, pero ya casi estoy
Excellent.
al
Don't
día.
worry.
Ah,
You
okay.
know,